Yes, that's right. Lawyer Tyrone Blackburn is going to authorities, asking and encouraging state and federal prosecutors to start a criminal investigation into T.I. and Tamika Harris, aka Tiny, on behalf of 11 accusers.
Atlanta's night was supposed to remain quiet, but at its peace was shattered by news no parent should ever receive. King Harris, son of rap icons T and Tiny, was fighting for his life in the ICU. His fragile body was tethered to machines, each faltering heartbeat pulling him closer to the edge as doctors delivered the chilling directive: prepare for the worst. The Harris family's nightmare had commenced, freezing the hip-hop world in dread under Grady Memorial's harsh lights. Alarms blared, medical teams scrambled, and chaos erupted in a desperate battle to pull King back from the abyss.
Door to my bedroom, as you shouldn't have to either. Open up the door to my bedroom for everybody to come in, chime in, and make their opinions about what we do and don't do or should or shouldn't do. But I will say this: whatever we ever have done has been done with consensual.
What began as a medical scare rapidly morphed into a real-life horror film, each new leak and rumor detonating across the internet, amplifying the collective anguish. The pain reached a fever pitch when Tiny, King's mother, suffered a complete and very public collapse in the hospital hallway. Her visceral, gut-wrenching screams echoed off the sterile walls, a sound of pure maternal terror as nurses struggled to keep her upright. That devastating moment, captured on a shaky phone camera, spread instantly, reducing millions of watching fans to tears. Hashtags like #PrayForking and #JusticeForking Harris rocketed to the top of global trends within minutes, a digital outcry of support and fear. But the narrative then twisted into something far more sinister. A leaked medical report alleged that King's injuries were inconsistent with a random jailhouse brawl. Insiders swore his body bore the marks of calculated torture, cuts and bruises described as too precise, too cruel, and too deliberate to be the work of mere fists or kicks. This was not spontaneous violence. It was a message. Someone had wanted King broken, perhaps even permanently erased. Then came the leak that froze the nation, an eerie, muffled audio clip. A prison guard's voice, barely a whisper through the static, confessed, "The order came from above. We just cleared the way." That single, chilling line turned the internet upside down, igniting a firestorm of speculation. Who issued the order? Who wanted King Harris silenced so badly that his beating resembled a staged execution? Fans, bloggers, and conspiracy theorists pointed fingers in every conceivable direction at rival gangs, old industry enemies, and powerful shadowy figures embedded deep within the political and prison systems. A more terrifying whisper began to circulate. Perhaps this was never about King at all, but a brutal gambit to shatter the Harris family for good.
Him being arrested isn't really like the shocker. It's him coming out and his, I guess, reaction to it, right? Because everybody's saying, King, you grew up privileged, bro. Why are you going down this path? Now he's talking about F the police, F12. So, he just don't.
Just as the nightmare seemed to have peaked, a more explosive rumor detonated online, a purported ICU CCTV clip. The footage, spreading like wildfire, allegedly showed masked figures infiltrating King's hospital room under the cloak of night, tampering with his life support systems. If authentic, it meant the young Harris wasn't safe even within the sanctity of a hospital. It suggested that the forces arrayed against him were far more powerful and sinister than anyone had feared.
Walk out, have some time to himself, sit down, soak it up, and come up with what he needed to do.
The forces arrayed against him wanted him gone, and Atlanta was boiling over in response. Protesters, fans, and family members packed the streets, their candles piercing the cold night air with a solemn glow. The chant "Protect King" rose in a unified chorus. Some prayed with trembling hands, while others screamed for justice. Their grief and rage merging into an electric storm of emotion the city hadn't witnessed in years. Inside the hospital, T was a portrait of devastation. The confident superstar was gone, replaced by a hollowed-out father pacing the sterile halls. The situation had moved beyond gossip or speculation. It was a raw human tragedy unfolding in real time.
And the thing about reality, it's all real, it's all natural, but some things are, some things are needed for the climax and the rising.
The image was one of a man utterly shattered. T's hands trembled, his voice cracking with a raw, paternal desperation as he confronted the bank of cameras outside the hospital. "My son is being targeted like he's some kind of enemy," he pleaded, his words a stark contrast to his usual composed, confident persona. "He's just a kid. Please, someone stop this madness." This unvarnished plea instantly went viral, pulling waves of global support from those who saw a father in agony, while also drawing cold, ruthless comments from others who cruelly labeled it karma for his past. The internet fractured, turning a private family tragedy into a brutal, global spectacle. With half the world rallying behind the Harris family and the other half mocking their pain from the digital sidelines, then came the footage that plunged the narrative from tragedy into conspiracy. An anonymous source leaked grainy CCTV footage from inside the hospital. Time-stamped at 2:47 a.m., it showed two hooded figures, their faces obscured, creeping into King's ICU with unsettling purpose. One crouched near his bed, a shadowy form hovering over the boy's vulnerable, machine-dependent body, while the other stood a silent, vigilant watch at the door. The clip cut off abruptly, but its implications were chillingly clear. Someone was actively sabotaging his recovery from within the very walls meant to safeguard it. Nurses began whispering about outside interference, confirming the family's deepest fears that even here, King was not safe. The situation grew more sinister when a whistleblower nurse revealed that King's ventilator had mysteriously shut down for several seconds one night, and the security footage from that exact moment had been permanently erased from the hospital's records. Was it a technical glitch or a full-blown cover-up? The public had already decided, and the internet erupted, accusing powerful, unseen players of systematically erasing evidence to silence King forever. The Harris family's heartbreak, no longer containable, spilled into the public eye with devastating force. Tiny was filmed collapsing outside the ICU doors, her body racked with sobs so profound she could barely stand. "Don't take my baby. Don't take him from me," she cried, her maternal desperation sending shockwaves of empathy and horror through millions who watched the clip on a relentless, traumatic loop across TikTok and Instagram. T, simultaneously gutted and enraged, allegedly punched walls, screamed at doctors, and accused the hospital administration of a coordinated cover-up of what he believed was attempted murder. Witnesses described his fury as so explosive that hospital security had to intervene after he smashed a chair against the floor. These images painted a new portrait of the rapper, not just a grieving father, but a man waging a one-man war against a corrupt system he believed was trying to erase his son. The plot then twisted into an even darker realm. Leaked medical whispers claimed King's blood tests had come back positive for foreign toxins, substances completely unlinked to his initial injuries or his prescribed medication. The chilling thought spread like a virus. Someone was poisoning him inside the hospital. Anonymous hacker groups amplified the terror, posting alleged stolen hospital files containing the terrifying line, "They're not saving King. They're finishing him." Global outrage exploded, with fans now convinced this was not a random act of violence, but a targeted assassination attempt fueled by serious, shadowy power. Outside, the city of Atlanta boiled over. The peaceful vigils morphed into chaotic clashes as demonstrators, fueled by a potent mix of grief and fury, met riot police guarding the hospital. The air filled with the acrid smell of tear gas, and the streets surrounding Grady Memorial transformed into a war zone, live streamed for a global audience watching in real time. By sunrise, King's fight was no longer just about one teenager's survival. It had become a global war of narratives. Some swore he was paying for the sins of his father, while others pushed theories of an industry-wide conspiracy, an organized plot to silence him before he could expose secrets too dangerous for the world to hear. Inside the ICU, the medical horror deepened. King's condition slipped from critical but stable into a terrifying decline. Doctors whispered about multi-organ failure while nurses rushed with trays of emergency drugs. Each desperate beep from the monitors felt like a hammer blow to his family's hearts. In a private, soul-crushing meeting, T and Tiny were told the words no parent should ever hear. "If we don't see improvement soon, we may have to discuss letting him go." Tiny collapsed once more, her piercing screams, so loud they were said to have shaken the entire floor. A secret recording of this breakdown leaked, flooding the internet and making the world feel her raw, unfiltered grief. Celebrities began to weigh in, magnifying the storm. Cardi B went live in tears, pleading, "That baby don't deserve this. I don't care what y'all think about his daddy. Pray for King, man." Then, Snoop Dogg poured gasoline on the fire with a cryptic warning: "The industry ain't what it seems. Protect your kids, all of us." His words sent chills across social media, seeming to confirm the darkest fears fans already held. The hospital itself became a fortress, its perimeter lined with riot police, transforming a place of healing into a besieged battleground. As night fell again, the most shocking leak yet dropped: a claim that King had been declared clinically dead for nearly 2 minutes before doctors shocked his heart back to life. If true, it meant the Harris family had already watched their son die once, only for him to be dragged back from the abyss. This revelation sent fans into a frenzy, sobbing at the thought and speculating that powerful forces were deliberately keeping King trapped between life and death. The crowd outside swelled into the thousands, their chants of "Justice for King" thundering through the Atlanta night, a powerful, collective demand for answers. King Harris was no longer just a teenager clinging to life. He had become the centerpiece of one of the darkest, most controversial sagas the culture had ever seen, and the world was holding its breath, demanding a miracle.